become who we want to be as individuals. And at the end of the day, that's going to help us be a successful offense.
Man-to-man, one-on-one coverage because the safety rolls to Jefferson's side.
Jordan Love hit me up the night of the draft, just congratulating me, let me know it's time to work. A.J. Dillon was open arms.
Monrock caught a ball with his thighs. We didn't even talk about that.
It was more of with his ass.
If he throws a good ball, this is a running, catching touchdown untouched.
Like, KP does like these flips after every win, and I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip.
To know that we still love each other, that's what football brings us.
Across the safety's face.
So you can tune in anywhere that you guys follow us on social media.
Welcome to the Practice Squad Podcast, episode 63. My name is John, also known as the Alien of the Week. Happy Halloween.
What have you done to earn Alien of the Week? What have you done to earn Alien of the Week? You haven't made any plays. You're no Myles Garrett.
I don't know, man. I feel pretty empowered in this mask. I'll say that much.
I mean, you look like you're from Zorgtron, which is really good.
Right.
Really good. You got to wear that the whole episode, right?
So I didn't really think this through very much, too, because we have like a big announcement to make, and I sure as hell can't navigate my computer in this mask, so I'm not going to make it very far.
Do you want me to announce it, and then like you can like try to? I can like.
No, because I still have to like screen.
I mean, this guy looks like an idiot.
1 sec.
If you're not watching this episode, you probably want to tune in for at least the first minute of this one on YouTube.
It's attention grabbing, to say the least. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, man.
Our next episode's going to come out on Thursday, so we're going to miss Halloween next week. And so that had to happen. All right. In other news, we have been talking about, hinting at teasing a merch drop for a good 6 weeks now. And thankfully, we finally are at a point where we're no longer teasing it. We're no longer hinting at it. If you are watching this video, you can head over and buy the merch right now. So I just quickly want to shout out Evan Pulaski, friend of the show, who has been a longtime friend of Mark and I's, designed not just this amazing Lions look, but designs for the entire NFC North. And so we're going to be offering them t-shirts, black, white, like tan or bone or whatever you want to call it, hoodies, same exact vibe, black, white, bone. And the Practice Squad logo in the team's colors will be in the top left, and the design will be on the back. T-shirts, so they have the option to bring the design to the front. So this is the Detroit one. Lots of good Easter eggs. If you are from the Detroit area, I'm sure there's a good chunk you'll identify there. The Bears looking pretty good as well. Even though your football team sucks, you guys got a pretty rich sports history. A lot of good iconic stuff as well. Green Bay's, and then Minnesota's. So if you are a fan of any NFC North team, we now have merch for you guys to go grab representing your team, designed from scratch by a very talented artist. So not only money in our pockets, but money in his as well. So, all good stuff all around. And like I said, you can go over to infinity-merch.com/practice squad store to go ahead and pick that up. So long time coming, and it's
long time coming. The variations are all there. Like John said, the hoodies will have, you got those 3 different colors, the black, white, and like a cream color. I have the cream color Detroit one. It is awesome. Fits right. It's a comfortable hoodie. It's got a sweet design. It fills up the whole back, right? And our t-shirt's the same thing, fills up the whole back. You can also get it on the front on the t-shirts if you prefer to have that thing show and everybody can look at you while you're walking around in the front. You can do it that way as well. We'll have it available also on the TikTok shop. So if you're following us on TikTok, you can go to the shop section of it. You'll see these designs there as well. Or you can go to the website, like John mentioned, and get it there.
Yeah, and if you're a first-time viewer of the show, maybe you made your way over with the Tyler Conklin video, which we'll get into talking about that in a moment. You got hit with merch. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And I won't wear an alien mask every week, but maybe it's something we need to get in the cadence of for alien.
Some people that are new might have thought that your human face was an alien face.
I'm that ugly, so I kind of get it. Yeah, if that's where you were going. I just said the joke.
I was going to say you were out of this world.
Oh, I'm sure you were. Good stuff. But yeah, so another thing to hop into before we bring on our guest. Mark, great job in my absence interviewing Tyler Conklin. I do want to clear up the slander, though. I was not in attendance because I was hungover, even though it was indeed my birthday, and I did have a good time the night before. But I would show up to interview an NFL player no matter how bad I was feeling. I actually did have work, but I appreciate the shout out and the birthday shout out, and I think Mark killed it on the interview. Tyler's an easy interview. I would consider him a friend of the show at this point. Just, cool guy. Great to talk to, a lot of fun insight. And so we very much appreciate him coming on. And like I said, if you're new here because of the fact that you checked out that interview, we got some other cool stuff coming up here
Second
as well.
time he was on the show. So, the first interview went great. If you want to go check out that older episode, that was pre-Aaron Rodgers in New York. That was like, that was him about his transition from Minnesota, from the Vikings to New York and all that stuff. Obviously, he's come a long way since that interview, and now he's one of the better tight ends in the league, and he's playing for a Jets team that everybody seems to love watching. So
they are a blast to watch, and I'm really, really pulling for them to actually, be able to get through the adversity and make something happen this season, because I think the NFL is better and more entertaining if the Jets are in the postseason. That's all I got to say about it. All right, and speaking of friends of the show, we have a long time. I think this would be third, maybe even fourth time coming onto the show. So longtime friend of the show. And he's actually, not necessarily here to interview, just more so to add some much needed quarterback commentary.
Star co-host.
Yep, star co-host. I like that a lot. Bringing on Carter Ferris. Carter, good to see you again. Thanks for coming to hang out.
Yeah, good to see you guys again.
Welcome back.
I'm glad I don't have any technical difficulties this time.
Yeah, if you remember Carter, if Carter's face looks familiar, it's because he made an appearance. His first ever appearance on the Practice Squad pod was actually maybe a real alien. It wasn't just a mask.
With the Halloween theme,
it was Vecna from Stranger Things, and I'm pretty sure he was possessed and taken over. So, but it's good to see that you've gotten yourself back. You're back in your own body, and you're actually you. So that's good to see.
Yeah. Lots of football has happened as well. So I'm sure you've been watching just as intently as we have. Before we get into covering the games, anything jump out at you from the past 7 weeks? Be it certain players, certain teams, any hot takes that you just want to get out of the way right now before we really start digging into the matchups?
I don't think I have any hot takes. I would say in terms of the Lions, I think we desperately need to make a move at the deadline. We have no stars on this team, and I think that's going to be a problem come playoffs. And I don't know if that's a hot take, but I hope Brad Holmes gets aggressive this week.
Yeah, I think, Mark, I haven't talked to you about it, but I assume we're in the same boat. Secondary, I think he made the right moves there, and then unfortunately the injury bug got it. I would love us to make a move at edge rusher. And that would probably cost a good chunk depending on who you're looking at. I'd say the cheapest viable option might be Chase Young. You might be able to get him for a third or something like that. But obviously you got to pay him next year. But I think with the amount that we've seen Hutchinson get held and just double teamed and the shit rocked out of him, we need some pressure coming from the other side of the line. So I completely agree with you.
Whether you go edge or interior D-line, you need help up front.
Yeah,
it's...
Again, it's. I mean, we do have a star there, but he needs help. So
I would go edge as well for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we're in the same boat there, 100%. Especially as we're battling through these injuries, and we still got one more matchup until we hit our bye week. So, without further ado, let's hop into our games here. And I'm going to see this. Is this an ideal camera angle, or do we want to do something that looks, I don't know, more like that? Nope, that doesn't work. We're going to roll with this. Yeah. Just don't move a ton so that we can see your beautiful faces the entire time. So first things first, Thursday night football. Saints are dead. I had so much optimism about this team going into the season, And sure enough, they do come back in this game. And then that defense that I've been saying is the only thing keeping this team together couldn't make it happen. And the Jags end up pulling it off. Jags are a damn good team, but disappointing.
Pretty bad drop, too, at the end of the game, John. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that catch. Kind of have to make that catch if you're playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and that tight end actually like fought cancer this past season and stuff. So he's had a tough run, and hopefully, I mean, those are the type of plays and mistakes that can cost you a job. I'm hoping that's not the case for him. But
it's an unforgiving sport, man. Like it's your job to make that play, So it's definitely fair conversations about whether or not he should still have that job. I'm sure Saints fans like yourself, maybe they're a little more forgiving because he's been through a pretty tough situation this past year. But if that's anybody else, I mean, the slander would be pretty hefty.
Yeah. No, it's offensively we just look like shit too. Just straight up, just not on the same page. I cannot believe.
Look at this
number.
Another guest star coming in.
It's Twan. That's Twan.
You gotta get behind me, bro. What up, world? What up, world? Twan says Twan's fantasy king right now. Won't stop talking shit.
Classic. I think even if he was 0-7 at this point, he'd probably still be talking shit. Though.
He's always talking
100%.
100%. Moving on to and this kind of became a theme this week, right? A game that kind of got hit by some interesting ref play, and I think that there's more than one game that we could talk about that this week. Thankfully, we've made it to week 7 without being like, oh, the refs really ruined like multiple games. But this week, I think you can make an argument for it. However, Brown's defense against the Colts of all teams couldn't figure it out. That kind of shocked me, given how efficient they've been to start the season. And then going into the red zone, I mean, just two really back-to-back questionable plays that give the Browns new life that the Colts just aren't able to overcome. Ends up being a pretty small margin loss. But we'll say this much: Myles Garrett, alien.
Can I read some stats about Myles Garrett?
Yeah, feel free
from this game. 5 quarterback pressures with 2 sack fumbles, one of which recovered for a touchdown. Okay, so that already affects the game. 6 total run stops, 3 TFLs. Okay, 3 behind the line of scrimmage, and a block. Now the blocked kick. All right, I want to talk about this block kick. If you've been a fan of the Aliens of the Week, go check it out on YouTube. Okay, it's on there. Go check it out on our TikTok because I want to talk about this, and you can see the film of it there. He jumps over the offensive line. We've seen that done before. Bobby Wagner's done it. Cam Chancellor's done it. We've seen freaks do that, and if that alone is an alien-like play, he did it from a 3-point stance without a running start, and he's almost 300 pounds.
And what's the rule, right? If you
can't
touch a
touch
player,
it. You can't touch the center. You can't touch the center.
So
and you can't push off of the shoulders or backs of any of the.
Right.
You can't use them. So he cleared them.
So he effectively cleared the offensive line from a 3-point stance.
From a 3-point stance. And landed and got his hands up in time to block the kick. So he did that as well. So you look at that and you think about it, okay, those are good stats. All by himself, if you really think about it, that's a 14-point swing, right? The touchdown, taking away the 3 points, adding another 3 points or a touchdown that the Browns were able to score with that field position he gave them by himself as a defensive lineman.
He could have been all of the plays from Aliens of the Week this week if we wanted to. I mean,
he's a freak, man, and that's his second appearance on the Aliens of the Week, by the way. And he could be on it every week. I mean, he's been. I think bar none. If you look at the NFL this year, he has been the best player in the NFL, bar none.
Defensive Player of the Year,
maybe period overall. Like I don't think there's anyone that's doing their job better than him in the league.
It's ridiculous. That's completely accurate.
Also, before we go much further, I am 14-18 now. I believe I went like 2-4 in my picks, and then Mark is 21-12. He went 2-2. So I still have ground to cover, and Mark's margin of victory keeps increasing. So
I told Carter this past weekend, I said, "You've been riding my bets?" He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Dude, if you look at our podcast and you see the hot hand, you need to ride it." And he said, "Okay, maybe I'll look at it." But I said 21-12, and then he goes, "Is that ATS against the spread?" I go, "You bet your sweet ass it is."
That's good, but I'll start betting it when you start betting it.
I am betting it,
Show me the
dude.
bet slips.
I'll
and
show you the
start
DraftKings slippage, dude.
betting. All right. If I see
I'm
that,
up big. I'm up big in football gambling, college, pro this year. I'm up pretty big. I had a big opening weekend, huge college football parlay, cashed that, and I've been just kind of using that.
Oh, can I make a quick college football segue that is probably 100% going to result in an argument?
I think I know what's coming.
I know it's coming
hey,
too.
hey,
It's
Carter.
Michigan related.
Here we go.
So Hitler on the scoreboard.
Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. Hitler on the scoreboard, not a super good look there among other scandals that are going on. So that third party service that they decided to like shift all of the blame on, like, oh, we got nothing to do with this, the third party service messed up. Yeah, that third party service was YouTube. That trivia thing was just a YouTube video that they were. So like that pisses me off in of itself. The part that extra pisses me off is like there's a student body of 50,000 kids there, you know, doing documentaries, doing like big research things. You have an amazing athletic department filled with kids. You got a music school. You got a theater school. Like you could use that opportunity to showcase some of the talents that Michigan State is producing. But nah, Hitler trivia is actually what we're going to
John, can I read a tweet that sums up Michigan State football this year?
Yes.
And this is from Alex Kirshner on Twitter. He said, "Don't think there has ever been a college football season that I can remember where a team bottomed out on the field, fired their coach after he chose to masturbate on a call with a vendor, and had to issue a statement explaining why Hitler was on their video board as they lost 49-0 at home to their biggest rival. All in one season, all within a month-long
more
span.
Hitlers on the scoreboard than points from MSU. So yeah, all in. Not even a
that is a powerful tweet. I mean, that just kind of like shout out to Alex Kirshner because that just grabs everything you need to know about what's going on there. I don't think there's a lower place you can be as a college football program, especially one that has the history of Michigan State in the last decade or so. I mean, this is a team that was in the college football playoff in 2015, 2014.
Yeah.
Right? Like they were in bowl games. They've won bowl games. They've beaten Michigan more than they've lost to Michigan the last decade. Like there is nothing you can. I mean, nothing you can say. Like it doesn't get worse.
Number 58, like.
Oh yeah. The cheap shot that was
my God,
that isn't being talked about enough. That gets overlooked because of the Hitler thing.
Because of all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, like legit. And I'm not trying to exaggerate this just because I'm rooting for the other team. Like 300-pound offensive lineman, like swan diving the crown of his helmet at the back of another dude's neck. Like that could have killed
yeah. He quoted that tweet, by the way, afterwards, like a day later. He said, "Gotta admit, actually, several of these things I don't think are kind of one of a kind on their own." Like he's like, let alone all of them in one season. I mean, dude, like if one program did one of those things, they might be dead. Let alone having all those things in about a 1 month span. But all I could say is the only thing that maybe at this point it doesn't get lower for Michigan State. I mean, it will get lower before it gets better because everybody there is going to transfer out and they're just going to be a shitstorm for the next couple years. Their only chance of like a quick like fix everything now is Urban Meyer. I hate to say it.
Which is also just admitting defeat. If we're,
dude, listen, the dude wins football games as a college coach. He's a scumbag. He's very, very hateable, but the guy wins. And if there's any guy that can come in and flip that program and win you football games, whether you like him or not, it's him. And he has Michigan's number too. Okay, John. Side note, flip this because you're a bullshit Michigan fan.
I know what's coming after
the sign stealing. All right, I want to talk about this for a second because. For those that don't know, and I don't, obviously, more and more comes out as we go. Is there sign stealing going on? Absolutely, without a doubt. There's
every team, every game.
Every team, every game.
Start.
Are they sending guys to the games to watch exclusive the signs? Maybe, maybe not. There's definitely already proof that there has been guys going to the games, whether that's administrated by Harbaugh and by his staff, or if that was just the dude doing it on his own to try to help the team. I don't really know. Okay, that we'll look into. Regardless, okay, they do sign stealing at every level of football. It's a part of the game. It's what it's become. If you're scared of it, huddle or change your signs. You know what I mean? Like it's gotten to the point where like if you think that that's why Michigan's been good, and that's the excuse you're making for why they're beating Ohio State or beating this team, like you're a joke. Okay,
Yeah, they are like, don't get me wrong. There's definitely going to be some conversations and some ambiguity as to, how okay this is depending on the extent of it, which again, everybody does it. So it's literally just depending on how intentional and obvious you're being about doing it, which if that's the line we're drawing in the sand, that's kind of stupid in of itself. But the people that are acting like, Michigan revived itself as a program because their ability to read plays, that's the dumbest thing I've probably ever heard in my life.
Everybody in the country spends time trying to figure this out. I mean, they have like quality control coaches that are like, that's their job. Like they're watching the other coaches. If you can get a clue on what the play is going to be, and you can call a better defensive call to stop it, like why would you not do that? Like that's part of the scheme battle. Like, NFL coaches do the same thing. It's a part of the game. So you always have to stay one step ahead and tweak what you're doing, change your signals, change how you call some of the stuff. I don't know why it's so like the fact that that everyone has to do this to Michigan right now shows you how good and dominant they are and how jealous everybody else is. That you have to keep attacking them with these bullshit things like buying a kid a burger or having freaking signals stolen. Like it's getting out of hand. And here's the thing: never in NCAA's history have they ever punished a team that's on a championship potential run mid-season. So even if they were doing way worse things, they're not going to do shit about it. And Harbaugh's going to leave anyway and go coach the Bears or freaking Colts next year. And the rest is going to be history. They're going to get their ring, and it's going to be end of story.
Yeah, it's definitely like way overblown at this point. Not to say that stupid stuff doesn't go on. You want to fix this problem, by the way, do what both high schools and the NFL are doing at this point, and just allow for communication in the helmet. I mean, like, let's be real here. The NCAA is an incubator for potential NFL players. They're much more about, being more or less a semi-professional football team than they are about education. I get people get educations while they're also being student athletes, but like a lot of people that are going to these major schools are going there to try to get their shot at being a professional athlete. I don't understand why there's rules and regulations around how a coach communicates with their players. Like that, high school does it just fine. College doesn't do it. NFL, obviously, it's on an entirely different level. I think that should be something that's totally permissible, and then you don't have this problem anymore, right? So
also, JJ McCarthy is now the betting favorite for Heisman, which we did talk about in the offseason a while ago. You can peep the receipts. Carter, I know you've been a fan of JJ's, and you definitely had him on that watch list. Did you sprinkle any on it preseason? Did you put your money where your mouth is, or?
No, I didn't bet like any futures for college football.
You feel pretty good about that? I mean, I feel like it's his to lose at this point because Michigan wins out. It's his. Even if he doesn't put up freaky numbers, he's the best player on the best team, right? I mean, that's
I don't even think his numbers aren't even like insane outside of QBR. I don't think. Like, I know he's leading the country in QBR, but I mean,
his completion percentage is pretty damn
good.
I mean, Michael Penix and Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and like all these other quarterbacks that are standout guys have better numbers. Like they're ridiculously better statistics wise. But
I feel like conference and offense kind of matters. Like
conference wins, Heisman moments, and your team. I mean,
he wins it if they win out and go to the playoff.
Yeah.
Like lock, it's a lock in my opinion. But
yeah,
for sure. All right, back to NFL. So I appreciate everybody enduring that pause. But if you're from Michigan, like those things had to get talked about.
Even if you're not from Michigan, it's the talk of the town.
John, I thought when you pivoted to college football, I thought you were going to ask about Michigan sign stealing. So the Hiller thing was like a bit of a curveball.
Oh, well, I just, being a state student and all that stuff.
Carter's a state student, but he's not a state fan.
I'm aware.
He wears green and bleeds blue.
That's correct.
All right, Bills at Pats, and if you guys see the spread versus what the score was, Mark, are my Josh Allen is inconsistent and the Bills play down to their competition take starting to age a little bit better as the weeks go on here? Because you acted repulsed first time that I started saying stuff along those lines, and
I was repulsed. I'm not out on them completely yet. You're definitely looking pretty with those takes the last few weeks. I'm not looking so good. Here's what I think it circles back to a Madden curse conversation. We thought they did not look good against the Jets first game. We're like, hey, Madden curse. Then they come out and dominate the Dolphins. And ever since then, it's been kind of rough and shaky. I blame the London trip or the overseas trip for the Jags one. I keep making excuses for the Bills, and at some point, I have to stop. I have to stop making excuses and just admit that you might be onto something, and you have been onto something for some time.
Well, here's my problem with this too. Like, you know, we sweep it under the rug, and you can do this when you're winning, right? About some of the interpersonal relationships that are happening on that team, like chemistry wise, right? Because again, you know, I might say not really get along with my wide receiver one, and we might have some issues. But if we're kicking ass and winning games and going to AFC championships, that's pretty easy to sweep under the rug. If you're losing and you're blaming each other, which you look at the Bills sideline and like there's shit like that going on a pretty regular basis. Where I'm going with this is like, how do they do in the free agency, re-signing their own talent game this coming offseason? And that can be dangerous for a team that is, you know, doing the best they can to kind of get a dynasty built over there. And, you know, we're always like this big favorite team. They got to be concerned about that, right? If they aren't making the playoffs and they aren't winning games in the playoffs, things can go south pretty quickly. We've seen teams implode a lot faster, you know, for a lot less. So something to consider.
And keep in mind where they're at for this season, John. They're still sitting fine, right? They have the win up on Miami. The Patriots stink overall. I know they just lost to them, but they stink overall. They're not a threat in the conference, right? And then the Jets, obviously, they're on bye. That's what you got to worry about. But the Jets have a few losses too, so it's like they're still fine. They have plenty of time to figure it out. They're not dead by any means, but it's definitely do or die time pretty soon here for Josh Allen and for what the Bills want to be and what they've been the last few years. They're shaping up to be the same damn thing again, right? Good. Not great, good enough to be in the mix, good enough to be talked about, but they can't get it done.
Right. Yeah. Carter, any thoughts on our discourse here?
No, I'm not the biggest like Josh Allen fan, nor Bills. Like I've never really believed that they're like a legitimate threat to win the Super Bowl because I don't think, like I think the talent around him is kind of overrated. Like Gabe Davis is a nice like later round pick. He's pretty good, but like I would like to see them go get like another really good receiver next to Diggs, and then now they're banged up on defense. I think Milano's done for the year, so
and they lost their best defensive back, Tre'Davious White.
Yeah,
he's done. I didn't see that.
Yeah, he tore his ACL.
There's a lot of bad injuries on the defensive side of the ball, so that's tough to overcome. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not out on them being a playoff team. It's just things can go south pretty quickly. And I'm just, you know, calling it now that, you know, if things keep heading in this direction and they can't load up on weapons, it could turn into a problem. Okay, Raiders at Bears.
It's only right, John. It's only right we launched the Bears and NFC North merch this week because the Bears with a big win, right, against the Raiders who suck. We'll be honest. You know, hey, let the Raiders keep losing. Let's go get Mad Max, bring him to Detroit. You know, he doesn't want to be in Vegas anyway. He'd rather come back home.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to, you know, pay basically 2 first-round picks for him. But
hey, you know, at this point, we got to do something. But
if that's all it takes, I would do that in a heartbeat.
You know what's crazy about the NFC North? The Lions lost in horrific fashion. We'll get into that. The Bears and the Vikings won. And I think the Lions are actually sitting in a better position this week at the top of the division than we were the previous week. And that's after getting our asses crushed by Baltimore.
Yeah, we'll get there. There's a lot to talk about there. But,
yeah. But the Bears winning, I mean, I'm fine. Like, it doesn't, you know, whatever. I mean, that's a shit bowl game. Somebody had to win, right?
Yeah, and who even started for
Division
at,
two? No, for the Bears or
no, for the Raiders.
Yeah, Hoyer started. He said this isn't the preseason. When people asked about Aiden O'Connell, he's like, "Well, this isn't the preseason." It's like
that's what McDaniel said.
Yeah,
I hate McDaniel. They're hopefully going to get clapped next week. We'll talk about that too. Commanders at Giants. I'm sorry for those that watch this game, for starters, and I don't even know what to make of it, right? Other than
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make much sense.
Tyrod
Actually,
Taylor's really
I was
good.
going to say.
I know one thing: Tyrod Taylor is better
Tyrod
than Daniel
Taylor.
Jones, but guess what? New York, you paid Daniel Jones $40 million, so
Stuck with him.
you're stuck with him for a little while. Saquon back made a difference for him. The Giants, I guess, didn't want to compete for the number one overall pick, and the Caleb Williams thing, the tank bull that we keep saying, by the way, John, is no longer the Caleb Williams tank thing. He might not be the number one overall pick.
I don't think
he's
he will be.
playing
Drake
himself
May.
out. He's playing himself out of it. I think Drake May's working his way into it. JJ, if he continues to do this stuff, could be thrown in that conversation. Michael Penix, like these guys are not far off. And when you look at their college career as a whole, yes, Caleb Williams has been a superstar, but holy shit, is he playing his way out of it?
Yeah,
And
we can definitely change who's sitting inside of the tank.
I don't think there's a clear number one, guy that people are sitting for.
And maybe we'll just make it a tank for that reason, or we'll just get a roster going.
I don't think anyone's tanking. I think they're just going to keep competing and trying to.
I do have to say that I think this quarterback class in general could be very special. So I am excited to see that. Yeah, because the past 2 years have been completely underwhelming.
Yeah.
And this is, like you said, one of the better ones we've seen in a while. Falcons at Bucks. Am I correct that the Bucks came away with the win on that one?
No,
that's what I thought. I must have got the score wrong on that. So
the Atlanta Falcons, baby. Or as John would say, the Falcons.
I definitely 100% just didn't change the score of this one. That's my bad. But they are. First of all, they won the game without Bijan playing at all.
Dude, he had one carry.
Yeah, he had one carry. They chalked it up to the fact that he was dealing with a migraine. And for anybody that's played football with a headache, it's the worst. And it probably increases your chances of it turning into something more than a headache if you're getting hit. So it sounds like that's the rationale behind why they did that. The rest of the team still popped off, though, and they kind of, got yardage by committee there. I mean, Pitts had some catches. London had some catches. Aljair, obviously. Like, they had everybody kind of, producing there. Are the Bucks as good of a team as we thought?
No.
Is my question. No,
I don't think they are. Baker still obviously is playing above expectations, and it's good to see. But I mean, we talked about Atlanta in our preview of that division as their ability, up front offensively. You talked, John, a ton about their offensive line, right? And you had a ton of stats to back it, and that's showing. I mean, that is showing that consistent thing that they have, that you don't have to worry each week about protecting the quarterback and about getting a run game going, is why they're in all these games and why they're winning these games. Because they're not, I mean, I'm not impressed with Desmond Ridder. Like, I still think they should go with Heineke. Even though the fact that they're winning, I still think they go with Heineke. If they go with Heineke, I think that all of a sudden they're like a dangerous team. Yeah. A true dangerous team, not just a team that's through week 8, or week 7.
It's tough when you have a guy that you think you can develop into being a guy, and on top of it, you're winning a decent amount of your games, right? So they're right in the thick of things. That if I know anything about the NFL, they're going to be cautious, and they're probably not going to make the bold move and make any changes at quarterback until they start losing a ton, and by then it will probably be too late. But I do agree with you, Mark. I mean, I think Heineke's the better quarterback, but if you're winning right now, you want to keep developing that younger guy. So, not that Heineke's old either. I mean, it's funny, 3 years in, and we're talking about him like he's the vet. But yeah. All right, pain game. So Lions. I think I'm just cursed, by the way, when it comes to football.
It's your fault.
Celebrating my birthday.
It's
100%.
your fault. Every year on John's birthday, he watches the Lions and the Saints, and they both lose.
Lions Saints fantasy.
Lions
Saints fantasy. Yeah. So it was. I knew this game was over by the second drive. Basically, yeah. They went down and scored like it was nothing, and then a 3-and-out, and then they did rinse, wash, repeat that entire thing over again. I was like, oh no. They were never in this game at any point, and Lamar Jackson, I think the big story about this, in my opinion, because look, good teams lose games, and that was one thing I was going to point to, right? The Bucks in their Super Bowl year lost to the Saints by an even larger deficit than the Lions just lost to a really good team. But I think that those changes offensively that we were talking about, that the Ravens needed to elevate Lamar as a player, are starting to click, right? We're forgetting, not everybody's going to be firing with their brand new offensive coordinator and a new system in week 1. And now that it's week 7, I mean, their ability to get the ball to the receivers, and they were actually able to, like, catch the ball rather than drop it. You had Flowers and
OBJ was making plays.
Andrews in the middle.
Bateman.
I mean,
everybody was open,
dealing,
dude. It was
dealing. And Lamar didn't have to play running back pretty much at all. Just the threat that he could was enough to make it. I mean, and this is what you're talking about, right? You have a dual threat quarterback that's a damn good pocket passer too. That can become a problem very quickly. I don't know if Baltimore is going to, blow out every team from now to the end of the season. But one thing is for sure is that they might be a contender in the AFC that looks much more open than we originally thought it was. And if they get out of that bloodbath of a division, they could have themselves a pretty nice postseason. So that was my takeaway from this game, is that Baltimore looks like a very serious threat. Because let's not forget that while the Lions came out and had a very sluggish, shitty game where they looked like they fell asleep at the wheel, it's still the Lions, and they still are playing, really damn good football, very dominant football up until this game. So
my take is this. I mean, although we started this episode on planet Zortron with John in his alien mask, this is the comeback to Earth game. This is the comeback to Earth moment, right? This is realistic. Like, the Lions, fantasy world of how good we were, we're a damn good football team, but we are not as good as we were talking about being and as good as we thought we were, okay? Especially with the injuries that we've dealt with and the stuff that's going on in our locker room. The Ravens are a good football team. They're not, I don't think, as good as we made them look. And teams are talking. You just said that they're a Super Bowl contender. I don't think the Ravens are. I don't even know if they're going to win their division for sure. And so we're talking about them like they did something. All they did was pick apart and exploit the Lions' flaws, which is secondary. Which it's been bad. It was bad against Seattle before a ton of injuries happened. I mean, against teams that have any functional receivers, more than one guy, like, we've struggled.
Yeah. And a mobile quarterback.
A mobile quarterback, you're going to struggle because we can't get. Here's the thing, right? Aiden Hutchinson's a great player. There's one big flaw in his game, right? He's not tremendous in the run stop defense, which Baltimore loves to push people around. And the second thing is, he fails to contain. He dips inside. He does his own thing to try to get pass rushes. And he's doing that because he's the only one that has a chance of getting a pass rush, and because we don't have help on the other side, like we talked about earlier in this episode. So they just took advantage of those things. Lamar had, on the second touchdown where he scrambled around, he had 9 seconds to throw. And it wasn't like Lamar was making a ton of people miss. Yes, he made a couple guys miss and made an impressive throw. But he had 9 seconds to throw. The Lions dropped people in the coverage. Hutchinson gave up the edge. Sure, you can bitch that he was held on the play. It's not an excuse. He still gave up the edge. And then Brian Branch, for God knows what reason, the second time this year, John, that he's done this, okay, on a touchdown, he looks at the quarterback and keeps his eyes on the quarterback and has no idea where his man is. Like, just keep doing your job. Like, just continue to do your job. There's so many things he does well, but when plays are extended, he has a terrible habit of getting nosy and looking at the quarterback, and he had no idea where his receiver went. And Nelson Aguilar runs wide. It should have never even been a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's what, Dan Campbell attributed the defense falling apart for, is that, you stop trusting your fellow players to do their job, and then everybody starts trying to play hero, and then their attention gets focused in areas where it shouldn't be, and things start to fall apart even worse. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
With all that being said, and then I'm going to give Carter the floor because I know he's built up some good conversation points on this game. With all that being said, the Detroit Lions have a wake-up call game, getting their asses kicked. They actually are in a better situation now than before this game happened because of what happened to the 49ers, who lost to the Vikings. Even though the Vikings are in our division, I don't consider them a threat, and I think that the Niners are a true threat for the NFC's top seed. Them losing is huge, okay? The Eagles winning and having that's great, because guess what? The Eagles still have to play the Niners. The Lions have the easiest schedule by far of those three top teams in the NFC right now. Yep. And so you're sitting there with like hey, we got our teeth punched in. We're not as good as we thought we were. We need to get back to the drawing board, figure some shit out. But we have a pretty favorable schedule moving forward, and those two teams do not. So if you're a Lions fan, you're sitting here and like, we have a real chance to be the 1 seed in the NFC with the Niners losing back-to-back weeks. Because for a while we thought there was no chance for the 1 seed. I think Lions fans forget about this game, short memory. Let's win out, or let's come close to winning out. Let's get the 1 seed in the NFC, and let's host every goddamn playoff game and get a bye and make the NFC go through us. Because if the NFC goes through Detroit, I'm telling you, it's going to be one of the hardest places to play ever. People are going to just be insane. All right,
Yeah.
so that's what I want to say. Lions fans, we need to get our shit together. The team needs to get their shit together. Carter, floor is yours.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are definitely a Super Bowl contender. I told you before the season I bet them to win the division. You said no way. We got
I
a
still
chance.
don't. I
We got
still
a
don't.
chance
I
to win
still
that
don't
one.
think they do have a chance to win, but
I'm worried that Goff's since Goff can't move, I think that could kill us come playoff time. That was like my biggest takeaway. Like if there's one free blitzer a game, that play is just dead. He can't extend it. Like the intentional grounding killed us. We were starting to get some momentum. Just throws the ball in the dirt.
yeah. He
Like,
normally
he just-
beats it with like sight adjusts and alerts, and he beats it with his head usually. But he was
That and Ben Johnson's play calling was a little concerning to me. I don't know why we're gonna run Gibbs up the middle 6 times in a row when that's not even like his strength. So hopefully it just makes them realize that they're not gonna run through everybody.
What are your thoughts on JMO? I think I might write JMO off. I've seen too many. Like I know he's made a couple. What has he made? 2 or 3 big plays, but like
He's
dude,
open
he's-
the whole game though.
I get he gets open, dude, but he doesn't finish plays. He has so many goddamn drops. If you include preseason, you include last year, you include so far this year. Like even the what plays that he had where he has caught the ball doesn't look confident. Doesn't look like a clean like, oh yeah, he went and got that shit. Like no, he looks like he's just getting lucky that he catches it. Like every time the ball goes in the air, I'm like, the one hit him in the face.
His hands definitely. Well, I think he was getting held that particular.
Yeah,
play
but
that
you
he got
can.
hit in the
His hands were free. Like at least
No,
freaking.
well, and that's what I'm saying is somebody hooked his arm that he was going to catch with, and he would have caught it with that. But I still like my stance with JMO has been I'm going to make an opinion on him at the end of the season because this in my head is his rookie year, and I don't think it's any his rookie year that he missed 4 games of too. Like I don't think it's fair to him, and I don't think anybody's making an educated take off of the amount of film we currently have on him. There's been times where he looks like, that exact reason why they drafted him, which was to be a touchdown in a bottle, that he is such a serious vertical threat that it opens up the middle of the field for everybody else to get to work. And then there's times where he looks like that's the only trick that he has up his sleeve, and who cares how open he is if he can't bring in the ball, right? But at the same time, I mean, let's not act like players can't improve over time. This is really his first year in the NFL. It's his first year being covered by NFL corners and safeties. Like there's going to be a learning curve to that.
But usually, John, when you take a receiver as high as we did with him, and we moved up to do so, you look at the other guys. We're not making excuses for them. They're making plays. Look at Jordan Addison right now. What he just did. Where's the excuse for him? What if he was messing up, we'd be talking about him like, hey, the Vikings drafted you in the first round. You should be making plays. Look at Zay Flowers. He's making there's Justin Jefferson came in this league, Jamar Chase came in this league, and we're instant playmakers. Like receiver is not a hard position to adapt to in this league. You can either do it or you can't. And in my opinion, he's had a lot of opportunity, and I have been holding myself back from saying this. He has shown me more reason to have doubt than to be excited about it, and that's concerning. I'm not going to say I'm completely out on him, but he's up against it, and I think the rest of Detroit's kind of getting the same vibe.
Yeah, and look, I'll say this too, though. Like, as a general manager, as good of a general manager as Brad Holmes is, like, there's a possibility you're going to miss on guys. And look, I mean, the 49ers, who are arguably still one of the best teams in this league, if not the best team in this league, traded a king's ransom away to move up in the draft in order to draft a guy that never really started for them at any point and is now the 3rd string quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So look, if we moved up a couple spots, and what did we trade for that? A 3rd or something like that to get to make that move up to draft a receiver that ends up being below average. Like, yeah, it sucks. It is what it is. But at the same time, like, we can also talk about Aiden Hutchinson's and Kirby Joseph's and, all of the other guys that Holmes has hit on. Penne, who I think we should sign to a 10-year deal right now.
I'm not faulting Holmes. I mean, I was high on JMO coming out of Alabama. I mean, he was a hell of a player there. There's just something, since getting to Detroit, something's been off. He's not been as consistent. I'm not sure what it is, but he doesn't look like the player that we thought he was going to be and what he's capable of being. And he's running out of time. I mean, he's had a lot of mistakes that are starting to add up. And
I feel like him and Goff have literally like the worst chemistry I've ever seen between quarterback and receiver.
Yeah,
like Goff never puts it on him. either.
Right.
So like,
Right.
and we don't even like. Why don't we use him like the Ravens use Zay Flowers? You don't see him go in motion,
Catch
getting,
screens.
You don't see him
know,
getting screens. You don't see him getting.
He's literally just running 9 routes.
basically a clear
Why
out
don't-
route every time.
Right.
I wish we would get him involved in screens, and also when we do like the play action stuff, he runs are posts and fades. I don't know why we don't have him run like a 20-yard curl because
Right.
I
There's
mean,
been a
that's,
few
like,
times I've seen him do that, but on those times he drops it, or the timing of the throws off. Like you said, the chemistry's not there. Like there's definitely concerns with it, but
Yeah.
I'm worried.
All right. So moving on to Cardinals Hawks. I mean, this game, Gino looked kind of rough. I'm going to be honest. And the past couple of weeks, he hasn't really looked like he's playing up to snuff. Not to say that can't change, but regardless, Seahawks come out with a win against a division rival. We got Kyler back, I think, either in next week or the week after. So Cardinals, aren't totally counting their season out just yet either, like everybody thought they would. What are your guys' thoughts? Just, division game, Seahawks get away with it.
I think Seattle's still one of the better teams in the NFC. I'm not gonna. I think that Geno Smith made some incredible plays in this game. I mean, if the stats might say a different story, but he made some impressive throws. He's still one of the better deep passers in the league. And I think with that receiving core and with Kenneth Walker and with the O line continuing to improve, finding creative ways to protect the quarterback. And I'll tell you what, this young defensive class that they have, built around Bobby Wagner, the veteran, the icon of that Seattle defense, they're still a threat to me in the NFC. I mean, they beat Detroit not too long ago. I have a future on them to win their division, and with the 49ers losing back-to-back games, that's still very, very much alive. So
yeah,
I'm not going to – I still think Seattle's a dangerous team. That's only going to get better because of how young they are. And it's insane to me that they're doing this with where we thought they'd be after the Russell Wilson shit.
I have the same bet as you for them to win their division. I think Geno's really good. I know he's a little rough, but some of the throws that he makes, like downfield specifically, are pretty ridiculous. And it would have been nice for the Lions to get Witherspoon at 6. That's like my biggest takeaway every time I watch the Seahawks, because I think it was pretty clear that's who we wanted. That was our guy, and then we had to adjust when they took.
Thanks, Baker Mayfield. Appreciate you, bud.
Yep.
Messing that up for us. I agree with you, though. I think that's who we had our sights set on, and it didn't work out that way. But that's the draft, right? Steelers at Rams. This game pretty much came down to a very, very questionable spot for the Steelers, but regardless, they come away with it. Pretty gritty, hard fought game. These teams kind of give me similar vibes. And also Puka Nacua is not going anywhere with Cooper Kupp back. That is for sure. That entire receiving core is dynamic and deadly. And they're incredibly talented. It's ridiculous. So
TJ Watt also a freak, dropping in a coverage and jumping an option route from Cooper Kupp as if he's a safety. Like, he does that better than some of the guys we see in this league. He's just incredible. And again, those crazy looks at the Steelers. We did a full episode breakdown on why the Steelers are tough to play against for quarterbacks and their secondary and the way they disguise coverages. If you want to see a teach tape of making it hard for a quarterback, watch Matthew Stafford try to figure out what they were doing defensively in the secondary. Like dropping TJ Watt, moving linebackers late, rotating safeties late, corners, playing with their leverage, mixing up the assignments on the back end. Like, it's really, really tough. And that's, I think, how they kind of took some of Cooper Kupp away, which made Puka Nacua step up, which he did. He had a great game. But it's tough to win a game when you never really get a rhythm or figure out like how to get the ball to your best player. And, Stafford made a couple mistakes that were pretty costly. But the Steelers team, I think they're bipolar, dude. Like, it's like they either look awful or they're like, they somehow win these games.
It's a Mike Tomlin team, man. It's like they are going to compete and they're going to flirt with 500 no matter what their situation is. And I mean, offensively, they didn't look great, but as you said, defensively, they were confusing the shit out of everybody, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so Green Bay Broncos
Hmm.
was a game. I don't know how else to put it. It was a game. It was not a good game. It was just a game.
I think Carter Ferris right now could go start for the Packers and maybe have a better performance than Jordan Love.
I can't believe how bad he is and the Packers. I thought they would be, I thought they would be who we'd be competing with to win the North, and they're so bad.
They're bad.
They
shocking.
don't exist in the first half. Their offense does.
They don't exist, period, dude. They don't exist, period.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is no good. No good.
He's so bad. I can't. He's so bad.
John, we did an episode a few weeks ago about coaches on the hot seat and who we think makes it through, the whole season. And I'll tell you what, Matt LaFleur is definitely one of those coaches because Packers fans and that franchise not very patient. They haven't really had to go through any suffering in the last 40 years. This is
I think
bad.
LaFleur is likely to get a second year with Love to see if what's going on this season.
He's had
is truly
4 years with him, working with him.
Yeah, it's but Rodgers did not have a very good first season. Filling Favre's shoes either. I think the biggest thing, honestly, is can LaFleur be enough of a leader to get through, all of these growing pains? And I'm not super confident. Why am I not super confident? Because the dude is literally about to bawl his eyes out in these post-game press conferences. He just doesn't dude. Dan Campbell goes 3-13-1 his first season. He's like, yeah, man, we'll get it figured out, man. Grit, man. We're gonna watch some film. We're gonna be right back at it. Bite some kneecaps, man. LaFleur looks like he's gonna cry, and I just don't.
Dan Campbell did cry, I think, in this week's press conference.
No,
I think he did, dude. I saw a video where he was crying. I mean, he was literally wiping his eyes. I mean, but he cries for a different reason. He cries because I think he's just so passionate and he's so bought into this team. And I think he's just an emotional guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve, which is part of what makes him, a special guy, a special coach. Matt LaFleur looks like he's crying because
I see fragility.
I'm worried. He's worried about himself. He's worried about his job. He's worried that if they made a mistake, he misses Aaron Rodgers. All those things mixed into one.
I don't think he ever had to be the emotional core of this team that was Aaron Rodgers,
right.
And LaFleur just had to draw up the plays and manage the clock and do all
Dude,
that stuff.
Rodgers, I think, called most of the plays anyway. Rodgers he would check out of LaFleur could call a play, but Rodgers was going to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. There was no power or authority over Aaron Rodgers. Now he has the control. He's got Love that he's got to develop, and he's struggling. It's a hard thing to do, but at some point, Jordan Love, you've been there, you've learned under one of the best guys. I mean, we've seen what Zach Wilson's doing with the Jets, and he's been learning for Rodgers for what, 4 months?
Totally different quarterback.
Yeah,
he legitimately looks like a different quarterback. And I know Conklin had some light to shed on it. I think that has been so helpful for Zach Wilson's development in the 6 months that he's been able to spend with Aaron.
So where is that with Jordan Love is the fair question. You know what I mean? He's had 3-4 years of that.
Right.
His first game was good.
It wasn't bad. Didn't they play the Bears, though?
Yeah, but he had some impressive throws that I saw.
He's definitely talented.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if you're a talented quarterback, you're going to make some plays. You get, listen, every once in a while in the league, you call a play, the defense lines up exactly how you want it. The receiver runs the route exactly how you want it. You catch the protections. Sometimes everything lines up and you do what you're supposed to do. But it's when the things don't line up, how good can you be? And Jordan Love, when things don't look his way or that he doesn't get the look he thinks or the receiver doesn't run a perfect route or it's not a perfect play call, he's not making stuff happen. And you have to be able to do that in this league as if you want to be a star quarterback and you want to win games. And he's just not doing it.
I still think that pairing is going to need one more year for us to really properly judge it. But I do know that, the NFL has basically no tolerance or patience for ineptitude. So
John's much more patient than me, guys. If you haven't noticed, as a host, he's
I'm not a knee-jerk reactor.
I am.
I'll come out with a bold take, but I'll sit there and kind of let it marinate for a few weeks before I say something like Josh Allen stinks or whatever.
You did wait a while to do that, but you might be onto something.
To break the tie, I don't think he gets fired this year either. I would think he gets another year.
Ferris and the calm collected group too.
No, he is not calm collected. He's just about certain things. He's the most knee jerk of all time.
Yeah.
Yes, you.
Oh, come on.
All right,
I'll
let's
say
get
this,
him
though.
going. Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Let's get Carter going. Justin Herbert. What do you got to say?
Bad coach.
Oh my God.
I'm right there
He's
with
not
him
the
on
worst coach in the literally.
Brandon Staley. Speaking of coaches that should be fired midseason, I mean the Chargers with that roster are 2-5 right now. That is so, and I get they just lost to KC, who is KC, but they lost to Dallas the week before that, and they should have won that game 3 times over, but they played it like shit. And if you're Justin Herbert, if you're Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, that offensive line, Khalil Mack, Bosa,
You're dropping if you do a dude off and you just name dudes on teams'
Just
rosters,
dogs.
the Chargers
Just
have
dogs.
probably the most dudes of any roster in the league. You could argue,
Yeah.
but that doesn't always translate to wins. It should, and like you guys said, Brandon Staley, you have absolutely no excuse. There is no excuse. Your roster is stacked, both D and O. You have a good offensive coordinator you just brought in that's supposed to be doing his thing, that had a lot of success in Dallas, and that was with Dak at quarterback. You have one of the freakiest talents in the world at quarterback in Justin Herbert, in my opinion, and you can't do anything to like separate yourself. You have a great receiving core.
They finish bottom 5 in defense every single year, and they have a defensive head coach. And you have guys like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, etc. Like
Asante Samuel Jr. I mean,
why
you
is he
have
still
guys
the
all
head coach when he can't manage the clock? He goes for it on every fourth down, and they never get it, and they're terrible on defense every year.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I'm hoping that for Justin Herbert's sake, they get rid of him as soon as possible and start looking on somebody that's a better fit, because holy shit, what a waste of talent. And I mean, again, these brands of these teams and history repeating itself. Like it feels like Phillip Rivers just, being on paper an amazing team and then failing to ever meet expectations in reality. So
I would also it would have been nice if they drafted Jordan Addison instead of Quentin Johnston. I mean, that's killing them right now too. Once Mike Williams goes down, it's like you have Keenan Allen and then not much else to work with. So I know he played a bad game, but I'm not worried about Herbert, but I am worried about everything else around him.
Yeah, he's got a ton of things to worry about. Are the Chiefs I feel like the Chiefs aren't that good.
They're a defensive team now.
Their offense finally started to look like the Chiefs' offense this game. But I will say, as Carter said, offensively, they've been underachieving. Defensively, they've been overachieving. And let's not count out Andy Reid's ability to turn an offensive, ship into the right direction in the second half of the season. I mean, if KC is playing defense the way that they've been playing for this first 7 weeks, and then their offense looks like how it has the past 4 years, that's going to be terrifying. And that once again makes them easily the Super Bowl favorite.
They do have the best current in-season signing, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and statistically speaking, too, Travis Kelce is averaging 40 yards more per game when
Check the stats. Carter raises the eyebrows. Carter, why do you think? What do you think's going on?
I mean, Travis Kelce's
it is games where she's present at the game. Stats are
I saw that
significantly 40
yards
better.
Is no joke.
Dude,
no,
significantly. I will say the handshake she has with Mahomes' wife is one of the cringiest white things I've ever seen of all.
Dude, I'll say this.
Jackson Mahomes is. Dude, did you guys see the meme of the Undertaker behind the guy, and it's Jackson behind Taylor Swift?
First of all, that's funny as hell. Second, I hate Jackson. I think Mahomes' wife gets.
John, stop being a nice guy. She sucks.
She's fine.
She sucks, dude.
Maybe she doesn't. If Taylor
Swift sucks.
Likes her, how bad can she be?
Taylor Swift has to like her, dude. I mean, they've known each other for 2 days
She doesn't
anyway.
have to do handshakes with her.
Okay, dude, that wasn't even a hand. That was like whatever that was.
Her loyalty is to Kelsey, not to the Mahomes family.
Listen, I hate. Look what I'm holding in my hand. What is this? I don't even know what this is. Some sort of pen with like a flamingo on it. I hate his wife, and I'm not a huge fan of Taylor Swift either. But
I like Taylor Swift, in general. But
yeah,
I don't know.
My bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're live. We're still live. John went dead for a second. I just continued to rant about. You know what that was? That was just the world telling me that John's being too nice, and he.
No, it was
the
probably good. I was
opposite.
removed from the conversation so that you guys could just continue to be terrible people.
No, I
No!
agree with you, John.
Okay, sorry.
Have did you guys
My
both
co-host,
watch
dude.
Quarterback? Did you both watch Quarterback on Netflix?
Yes.
And you
she's
don't.
fine.
She seems like just a nice, supportive
Trash.
wife. Honestly, if we're going in that route, Kirk Cousins' wife scares me 10 times more.
I don't love
than-
Kirk Cousins' wife either. I think Kirk's weird as shit, but
Like, I think that they might have dead bodies in their basement.
no, he's a
It's
man.
too
He's a
clean.
man of God. He's a faithful.
It's too clean. It's too clean.
dude. I mean, they probably pay someone to clean their house.
He has a secret closet. You're not telling me there's not at least one more of those in his house that he didn't tell?
I mean,
the
he's got a big
quarterback?
house. He's probably got all kinds of hidden areas.
Yeah, and what is he doing with those?
I don't know. He meditates. He freaking trains his brain. Like he does all kinds of weird shit. Let's get into this
Sudoku.
Dolphins Eagles game because I think like
We're just
I
gonna
don't
keep
think-
arguing about the NFL family. Like,
I loved this uniform matchup. The Kelly
Oh my
Greens
God.
lived up to the hype.
so good.
Oh my God! Like AJ Brown is a savage.
Holy crap,
Jalen Hurts
CA.
got his revenge game over Tua. Did you see him in the post game, by the way, when they asked like what was it like to play against some of your buddies from Alabama, and he like kind of
He,
had
like,
to he like
Snapped in
refrained.
the coach's speak.
He refrained from because I'm not gonna lie, if that were me, I'd be like, yeah, I remember when I got my ass benched for that dude, and I'm showing the world why that was a mistake. Like whatever. I would have a chip on my shoulder, and I would not be against. I know they're like friends, but like, I mean, if you're a competitor at all, like that had to mean something to him.
Yeah, I mean they're cool, but they probably were at each other's throats like mentally in that game for sure. And
I also have a bold statement.
what's up?
I don't think Miami's that good. You look at who they've beat. All right, you look at who they've beat. Not very impressive. And I mean, the offense is cute and shit, and they're doing it against bad teams. But when you play against a functional defense, they haven't looked. I mean, they're still good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not like this dominant team. Like hanging 70 on the Broncos doesn't mean you're a great team. You know, like
Well, and I was gonna say they almost kind of remind me of the Bills teams of years past, where like they will absolutely dunk on teams that are worse than them, and then they kind
When
of
it's-
shrivel up when they have to play up
yeah.
to their competition.
When it's showtime, they haven't. And dude, the Bills beat up on them.
Yeah, well, and here's my thing is I think defensively they have some problems they need to solve. But for this game, there was a lot of non-calls penalty wise.
Whatever, man. I mean, but still, like you can. I mean, you can
10
make
to
them.
0.
Calls, though.
10-0, crucial calls too. I mean, that face mask that would have been a wide open touchdown had that not happened. That was a non-call.
You can do this about any team and about any
Tyreek
game.
Hill dropped a touchdown that changed.
that was super bad. I mean, we're talking in 2 plays alone that 14 points were left on the board there.
Sure, but you could do that about almost any of these other games as well, where there's swinging moments. It's going to happen. I'm saying that if you look at the team as a whole and their entire season, not just Sunday night, they haven't beat anybody really worth a shit. And the times that they have played good teams or relatively good teams, they have not got it done.
Yeah.
The excuses, whatever you want to make, but they haven't got it done. And you know,
I think
you
your
can
point
have
stands for
yeah,
sure.
I just worry. I think we got too high on them too quick. I mean, that's because they
I would
were
argue-
doing so well offensively.
I would just argue that no one in the NFL is like that good this year. Like there's not even one team that I think is like clearly head and shoulders above the rest. So I think there's probably like 6 or 7 teams that could win the Super Bowl this year. And I think the
Yeah.
Dolphins are one of them.
I think the healthy Niners are truly
But
like I think they still are ahead of everybody else.
I think Brett Coleman
Brock
posted how
Purdy
top-
last night, what
that
was
was rough. Yeah, and that's a great segue, right? I mean, Brock Purdy, for being Mr. Irrelevant, has 100% exceeded expectations as the starting quarterback for the Niners. These past 2 games have shown that while I would argue he's still a really good quarterback, and he will be just fine being the 49ers quarterback for, probably the next several years to come. He's showing how young he is and where he was drafted at times. And I think just look, to be a Super Bowl winning team,
You need a quarterback that when you're down one score and you need to put together a drive to go and win it, that you don't throw 2 back-to-back interceptions, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. That's not what winning quarterbacks do.
I think I just don't think they're a come from behind team. I think that they're a team that can get on you and they're really hard to stop. It's like it reminds me of like the Ravens all those years where they would get these leads and every time they did, they were tough to beat. But if they got down, they had no chance. And that's what it reminds me of. But the thing is, the Niners aren't going to get down very often. Like they're gonna be in control of most games, and if that's the case, like they're a really tough team to beat. So and again, they're battling. Their 2 of their best players were out.
Well, and
Trent Williams being out is gigantic.
That's massive. You mentioned though that like injuries, and that's true for every team to some extent. But one thing that Brett Coleman pointed out that I'm inclined to agree with, they're very top heavy. And that means that, all teams suffer injuries, right? That means them suffering the wrong injuries at the wrong time, things can fall apart pretty quickly. And I think that's what we've seen the past 2 games is, you see Williams go down, you see Christian go down, you see Debo go down, right? That was something we were concerned to shit about when that was happening to some of the Lions starters the past 3 weeks. And up until last week, they were still winning games because they have depth, right?
Yeah.
49ers, their superstars are way more superstars than any of the starters on the Lions by probably a huge margin, if we're being honest. But those guys go down. Who's next man up, right? And that's a concern late into the season because nobody's as healthy as they'd like to be by, week 17. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I still think they're a Super Bowl favorite. I still think they're one of the best teams in the league. But are they that, and can they win games minus their starting tackle, minus Debo, whoever else might be missing any given game? So
I don't think, I'll say this too, and it kind of goes off both your guys' points. I don't think there's a year that I can remember where home field's going to be more important because if you're in the NFC and you're hosting and the road to the Super Bowl goes through you, whether it's Philly, San Francisco, Detroit, Seattle, like one of these NFC teams, it's going to be tough for any of those other teams to go there and get the job done. Just like how hard it is to go play in Arrowhead. If the Chiefs are the 1 seed again in the AFC, like it's going to be really damn tough for any of these teams to get it done. If they're not, it opens the door for some wild shit to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you for sure. So, and I think even more in the NFC than the AFC too.
In terms of it being open.
Just in terms of how important getting the 1 seed is.
Oh yeah, it's way more important than the NFC.
Yeah,
and without a doubt.
I mean,
sorry.
Do you guys believe how well Kirk Cousins played last night?
He
Captain
looked.
Kirko.
He looked like how he did last season.
Primetime Kirk.
That must have been killing Shanahan because the whole league knows he's always wanted Kirk Cousins to be his quarterback, and then to compare him to Brock Purdy last night was
yeah.
So 1 o'clock Kirk might be dead, but primetime Kirk.
Yeah, it might have changed. I mean, that's an impressive win, man. I mean, without Justin Jefferson. People were so quick for Minnesota. Like, if you're a Minnesota fan, people were so quick to say, "Oh, they're going to trade Jefferson. They're going to put Kirk on the trade block."
Oh, I'll admit it. That was me, but I hate the Vikings. So.
Dude, that was pretty. I mean, they were an 11-win team last year, and
yeah, but they had 9 turnovers in their first 4 games.
It was sloppy, and that's a recipe to lose games. But that's not. I don't think that's a recipe to nuke your team that was a playoff team last year, and you have pretty much all your main key pieces back with a better defensive coordinator, and you're hoping to kind of get shit figured out.
And I will say this: Flores clearly starting to get a grasp of what's going on. And Pat McAfee interviewed somebody on their defense. I'm forgetting who today, and he said Flores' system is really, really, really wacky. Why? Mark, you probably have some light to shed on this. Who did Flores spend a bunch of time coaching defenses under?
Belichick.
And then
who else?
Tomlin. Spent some time with the Steelers.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of time. He wasn't with them for a lot.
He wasn't there.
The linebackers coach, right?
Yeah, that was because of the whole thing with Miami where he got fired for.
You're right, but regardless, between Patriots and Steelers, you getting all of your defensive bag of tricks from it's people seeing that for the first time. No matter how good of an NFL player you are, it's going to take some time to get used to. You're telling me that the Vikings start to get a defense that more so resembles,
Patriots in their prime or Steelers, I mean, that's a force to be reckoned with.
Combination of two problems, though, John. Yes, he confused Brock Purdy in the passing game, but the other thing was missing Trent Williams in the running game.
Getting pressured very easily.
No, not even just pressure, running game. I mean,
Yeah.
the 49ers, if you can't run the ball, they're not a good football. Like, they're not going to throw their way into winning football games. They have to establish the run, use play action, make it easy for Brock Purdy. Like, that's not their recipe, playing from behind, chucking it the whole game.
Do you guys think Kirk will be back with Minnesota then? Because that was
I think O'Connell loves Kirk, and I think he
agree.
loves Minnesota.
I think their
Jefferson
GM
likes
hates him though. So.
That's
Kirk?
what I was
Yeah.
seeing so much stuff about if they have a top 10 pick this year that they would, like I saw like mocks that they would take McCarthy or whatever. Some of these
Their GM hates Kirk Cousins for whatever.
I mean, I would probably take Kirk's
He's a
next
top 10
guy.
quarterback.
I agree.
in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's getting up there in age too. I mean, I wouldn't be against taking your next guy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
It's a
there's
talented
world
quarterback class, man. Like if the
Yeah,
guy's
it is.
there that you want.
I was gonna say maybe there's a world where you sign him back and you draft that guy, but also, I mean, I think there's going to be other teams that are more quarterback needy that are going to be willing to pay that price tag, and I don't think the Vikings GM is going to. So, mid-season trade not likely. I think they might let him walk in free agency though. So we'll see what happens. Moving on to next week, before we get into this, I'm just a little bit pissed about this. It is week 8 that we're going into. Teams are in the middle of, enduring a lot of very tough physical games, and there are no teams with a bye week this week. And that doesn't make sense to me. I thought that was really wacky that we are smack dab in the middle of the season and all the teams are playing. Is that a usual thing?
I have no idea.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
It throws things off with the added game to the regular season, so maybe that's why.
That is weird though.
I don't know. It threw me off.
Whatever. More football. Why are you bitching about having more football?
I'm not bitching about more football.
Yeah, you are. You're like, I don't want bye weeks. Like, dude, we have no buys. Everybody's playing. This is a dream scenario.
Health of the players is what I'm moderately concerned about. Just because if everybody's dead,
I mean, everybody gets a bye.
Going to be good.
I mean, everybody gets a bye.
That's true. That's a good point. All right. Well, hopping straight into it, Tampa at the Bills. The Bills are an 8.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's Thursday Night Football. Both these teams need a win.
I like Tampa to cover here. I don't know about win, but with the way the Bills have been playing, I like them to cover. I mean, Tampa's defense is really, really, really good.
I don't know if they're really, really, really good. They were, or they seemed like they were.
Their front
short.
is.
I'll say this: a short week to prepare for Josh Allen and what the Bills do and try to do in the passing game. The Bucs are more of like a run stop team. The Bills don't even want to run the ball anyway. I think the Bills probably cover.
Okay.
I would take the under, and if I had to choose a side, I would take the Bills too. I think Tampa's getting exposed that they're bad at quarterback and can't run the ball. So
interesting takes. Very, very different around the Tampa narrative than, let's say, week 2 or 3, which does happen very often in the NFL. But just curious, it's interesting. Eagles at Commanders. I'm honestly surprised that the Eagles are only a 6.5 point favorite for this game.
This division is always fishy, man.
And the Commanders always play the Eagles close. So, and I think, is this the second time that the Commanders have played them already this season?
And they played like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. They went to overtime.
Yep.
Which Casey's playing Denver again, by the way.
Right. Yeah. It's
so
I don't the league schedule shit really, really weird. I think the Eagles cover, but it's tough, man, because Washington they were the team that beat them last year. They played them as close as anyone this year.
I don't think they'll get as lucky this year, or not this year, this game, as they were a couple weeks back. And the main reason why is if you guys have watched the Commanders much the past few weeks, their offensive line is in shambles. I've never seen a quarterback have to run for his life the way that Sam Howell's running for his life. And I think Howell's actually playing above expectations too, but you can't do shit if you're getting pressured every single play. So with the way the Eagles have kind of been playing defensively, obviously holding the Dolphins to 17 points, I think that they'll get it done and probably cover this game. So Pats at Dolphins. Dolphins are a 9.5 point favorite.
Patriots.
Patriots. Mark.
Patriots might win.
Whoa. That's a bold take.
Whoa.
Slow down.
Mac's back.
Mac is not back. He had one.
He's still
he had
big
one
Mac.
ugly ass gritty, and it's like he's falling right. He's gonna fall right back.
He's gonna try to touch somebody's.
I think the Dolphins probably hang 40 plus on him.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking about putting this in my best bets. I gotta keep staying aggressive on this, or else I'm just gonna die. So
it's kind of like new school, old school. Like Bill Belichick has struggled, I think.
And what have we been saying? Is that
he's struggling against like new era like offensive football. Like he is so good against like what normal standard offensive football has been for so many years. Like that's his dynasty, his reign took place during that. But with these young guys that are just doing shit that he's never seen before. He's kind of just getting outsmarted at times, and I think he's a little too stubborn to try anything new.
And the Dolphins always kind of have the Patriots number, no matter how good or bad they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Dolphins do it, but I'm not going to put them in my best bets.
Okay. Bengals at San Fran.
Tough track here for the 49ers, man.
Yeah, and it's
they can't lose 3 straight, right?
At home, I don't like the fact they're favorited by 5.5 points. I'll put it that way.
Big question mark on Trent. If Trent Williams plays, I think they cover. If he doesn't, I think the Bengals cover. Like I'm like Debo out of the mix, whether he plays or not. I don't even care. If Trent Williams is playing, I think the Niners get it done because I think they'll gash Cincinnati.
I like Cincinnati to cover here, frankly.
I think I would take the Niners if I had to choose.
I can't put it in my best bets because I don't know if Trent's playing.
And he's such a huge part of that, yeah.
So I'll take the Niners, but I would normally drag that into my best bets, but I can't do it because of the unknown.
Jets are a 2.5 point favorite against the Giants. I find this interesting for 2 reasons. One, I think the Jets are objectively a better team than the Giants.
No doubt.
And 2, this is a battle for their stadium all over again.
Jet Life.
Which is Jet Life. They named it that in the preseason. So I like Jets for my best bets here. I think they can cover by a field goal. I like it.
The question always remains, every time a team comes off a bye, we just had Conklin on, right? They're on a bye last week. He's doing podcasts, doing interviews and stuff. I'm sure the rest of the team's doing their thing, right? Do you come off that bye refreshed and refocused, or do you have a lull? It's always a team comes out engaged and like, holy shit, it looks like you prepared for 2 weeks. And then there's the other times where teams come off a bye and it's like, you look like you haven't done shit.
I think it's the former because the Jets can't really afford to lose to losing teams the rest of the season. They just cannot.
What concerns me though, man, is like Zach Wilson, like we've said, has been playing better, but that's a really good defensive line.
It's a good defensive line.
The Giants have a really good defensive line.
The matchup in the trenches is not incredibly favorable, but I do think that the Jets have to win this game if they want to keep their. Mark, you said they make the postseason.
Give me the under best bet.
Yeah,
I just thought about it. Defensively, defensive line, the Jets defense is a Super Bowl defense. The Giants can't protect the quarterback. The Jets struggling to protect the quarterback. Both quarterbacks will make mistakes, right?
Can I add that to mine too? Is that allowed?
I like too for guest pick. That's my lock.
Guest pick, lock of the week. Carter Ferris, you heard it here.
I can't believe that number is that high when.
But sometimes it makes me want to like retract. Like, why is it so high? You know what I mean? It's like making me kind of be like,
well,
hey, something. They know something.
Little,
yeah, but dude, Vegas.
I think Jones is gonna play.
I hope Jones plays. Please.
I think he's going to play.
Please play.
He almost played last week.
Hey, is he even still a starter though? Do they start him if
they're paying him $40 million?
See, that's what I hate about the league.
Both of these.
I hated the politics of that, like the financial politics. I hate that.
Both of these defensive lines are going to eat for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe the defenses have like 3 pick sixes and a punt return and like all that shit, and that's how it gets done. I'm not sure, but
you might be right. I like it though. I like the under for sure. All right. Rams at Dallas. Dallas are 2.5 points favorites, and I really just despise this Dallas team and was screaming at my TV when they beat the Chargers. So
me too.
I'm gonna leave it.
From there, I do like the Rams to cover. I'm not going to do a best bets because I think that's an emotionally loaded opinion.
I like this Rams team. I don't know.
I do too.
Maybe I'm in the minority. I think they're playing way better than
I agree with you. Mark's highly critical of a particular quarterback that played in Detroit for a long time.
I can't believe the Rams are even competing in games, to be honest with you. I did not think that they would do much this year. I mean, this is 2.5. Like it's just fishy. Like some of these lines are really making me think. I think I'm gonna go the over here as a best bet.
Okay.
I think the Giants are, or not the Cowboys are going to be able to hang points and run the ball. I think, and Stafford's I think going to keep it close. So,
oh boys, I got bad news. Let's count here. 36.5
much more sense.
Was the line for Jets. That's
this all makes way more sense now.
Y'all skip.
I was like 45.
So 45 is the line for this game. 36 points. So we're gonna delete those.
Gotta scrap those unders.
Yeah.
I think I'm still gonna take the under though for the Jets.
36.5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All
right.
Because now it's the reversal. Now I'm thinking, okay, it's super, super low. This might be a 10-7 game.
All right. For those watching at home, we do these entire boards fresh every single week. Excuse us for making a visual error there. That's our bad collectively. We don't F up a lot when we're recording these live for an hour and a half straight, so I'll give ourselves some grace there.
It's the Carter Ferris curse.
Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
man. First we get Vecna, and then we get
just jacked up numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways,
wait. So the
45. Is,
shit. All right, that I will not still take the over as my best bet. So I'm gonna pick Dallas to cover, but I'm not gonna put in my best bets.
Okay.
I would take the under 45 in that one.
As a best bet, or just
no? If I think I lean Cowboys in the under.
Gotcha. Jags at Steelers. Both of these teams been playing some pretty dang good football. I'm actually pretty excited for this matchup. Sneaky good uniform matchup too, honestly.
The Jags uniforms away though are just kind of that dull white.
Yeah,
they got to do something different with it.
They need to. Yeah,
so there's too much black and white in their uniform. Like they need to add some of their, their core colors.
I agree.
So I kind of like the Steelers to cover. Steelers as home dogs.
Yeah,
they usually do their thing.
I thought that too against the Niners this year, and then
but
they lost by 50.
Hey, the Browns. Remember the Browns were favored. They did that. Took care of business there. They beat the Ravens.
Best bet?
No.
I think I would have to take the Jaguars just because Trevor Lawrence is a lot better than Pickett. Like I think that's just such a big drop.
But what do we say about these Steelers defenses against quarterbacks? Just saying, it makes it tough. They confuse Burrow every time. They confuse Burrow. They confuse Stafford last week. They do it all the time. I think I'm not going to put my best bets.
Vikings at Green Bay. I mean, I like the Vikings to win this. I actually might take the Vikings the best bet here. I'm just not seeing Green Bay figuring it out this season, frankly. Like they're just gonna have to try to get by. The Vikings, as you guys kind of said, like they're playing pretty good football right now. Not anywhere I'd feel threatened about it, but we've seen how Green Bay's been playing the past few weeks. So
it was weird too. Obviously, Kirk playing better and everything, but the Vikings' ability to run the ball on Monday night against the 49ers surprised me. I mean, they haven't been able to run the ball at all. And that was, I think, a huge part and a huge step in why Kirk looked better is because he had something to actually help him out on the other, with the running game. So the problem is Green Bay's pretty good against the run. Like the defense really hasn't been the problem for the Packers. They're a different team at Lambeau usually.
I think I would take the Packers too. I think like I would hope that they're going to get Aaron Jones more involved. because he's been basically non-existent after the Bears game.
I've been saying that for almost 2 years now. Though. If you guys remember last year, they did a horrible job about taking.
I'm going to take the under here, John, as the best bet.
Okay.
And if I would pick the Packers to win.
I think the Packers are going to win as well.
But I'm not going to put the Packers in my best bet.
All right. Texans at Drew put 4 tank bowls potentially. Which is
I wouldn't say the Texans is a tank bowl.
No, I don't. Drew. I don't think so either, Drew.
We need to put some respect on the Texans.
I got a bone to pick with this. I think Drew only put this one because of the fact that the Titans are not good.
Did you see the Titans trade away their best defensive
Byard
player?
Yeah, I mean, Vrabel's about to have a brain aneurysm, man, and Howie Roseman is just absolutely robbing. The Titans.
The Eagles are they're crushing it in the draft, crushing it in signings. Like they're just.
I mean, he's a go-to GM for sure. I love the Texans -3 here. I'm taking best bet. I'm sorry. I get that Carolina's had 2 weeks to rest, all that fun stuff.
You know what this game is, though, John?
Texans are legit. What is it, Mark?
This is the 1 versus 2 battle.
Sure is, and I think the 2 is going to win it. You telling me Carolina's getting their first win?
I think they might
against D'Amico Ryans.
I kind of think that too, Mark. I don't know why.
I think they might.
If
there was a game that they were going to win and a game where Bryce Young was going to shine, wouldn't it be this one?
I'm thinking the same thing.
I'm not entertaining this. I'm not going to hear it.
All right. I'm not putting my best bet.
No, honestly, you should put your money where your mouth is, Mark.
Dude, this is a best bet.
I put my money. 3. Mark, if you like them to win, do it.
I think the Panthers will win this game.
Okay.
I'm not putting in my best bet. I have people that look at my picks every week, John, and make money. What do they do when they look at yours? They lose
bet
money.
them right now, actually.
Okay, I have to protect that. So
hey, I have a different YouTube channel in which I do, stock trading and stuff like that. If you want to make money, that's where it's all at.
If you want to make more money than that, you bet with this guy. Okay, listen, I'm not putting my best bets. I like it. I don't love it. I only put shit that I love in my best bets. 21-12, 21-12. You have to respect it through 7 weeks, okay? So I'm not going to take peer pressure. No amount of peer pressure from this alien from Zorgon is going to make me put a stupid bet in my best bets. I like it. I don't love it.
All right.
Bryce Young beats CJ Stroud.
Panthers, baby.
We got...
Keep pounding.
Atlanta as a small 2.5-point favorite at Tennessee. I'm not touching this one, but I like Atlanta to cover here. But I think these are kind of similar teams playing one another, and I think it's going to be a very low. That's a under I might consider taking 36.5, but I think it's going to be a pretty brutal game if you're watching it. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of touchdowns. We'll put it that way.
Give me Titans best bet.
Did you see that both quarterbacks are going to play, Mark, for the Titans?
Yeah, Mark. Will Levis is playing one half, and Malik Willis is playing the other.
Is that what they said?
No, they didn't say it.
They said
both of them are going to play.
You're going to bet on an NFL team who's going to have multiple quarterbacks, like we're in 5th grade.
I am. I trust the defense. I trust the defense at home. And I trust Derrick Henry. And you know what it tells me? If those are the guys playing quarterback, they're going to try to make no mistakes, and they're going to try to take the ball out of their hands.
Just so you know, Malik Willis completed 0 passes in his start with them last year.
I understand. And they almost beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yes. That game was crazy.
I was live betting the Chiefs for an hour straight.
Yeah.
It was the sweatiest.
All right. So we got Saints at the Colts. I don't love the Saints here based off of the way they've been playing. So I think Colts will cover.
How does it make John feel with the tank next to the Saints logo?
I mean, dude, if that means that we can go and draft a quarterback, that
you think they will?
Probably not. I don't know who the hell they're going to draft. I think we need to fire our offensive coordinator, figure that piece out, and then figure out the quarterback.
I still think that your offensive coordinator is more fireable and it's more worthy to chant fire Carmichael than it is Canada.
Yeah, I mean, well, because at least Canada's winning games for how bad they are.
But they're saying fire Canada all over the damn place.
That's because I think the reason why is because Canada's been around for too long. Like,
Well, Carmichael's been. I mean,
he's been around for a long time too. Yeah,
he's got to go. He's no good. I'm gonna take the Colts to win at home, but I don't love it.
Do you even agree with the tank being on there, John? They're trying to win games.
No, I don't. But I felt like the two above that was even less deserving. I mean, Drew put all the tanks up, so I
the
think
Colts are.
Did you say the Colts, Mark? Is that who you picked?
I think the Colts will win. Yeah.
Derek Carr is like playing so bad in my
He's
opinion
just
right
at
now.
some point we just have to admit that Derek Carr is bad.
Derek Carr
He's
threw like
scared.
multiple passes to turf.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
like,
he's
he's never.
scared of the
I
rush,
mean, you
man.
can make up whatever you wanted to when he was with the Raiders. I mean, he's never been that good, and you thought this was going to be his opportunity. Yeah, it's not. While we have Carter on, big Anthony Richardson fan. Obviously saw a flash of what he can be. John and I both agree on this podcast that more looking like bust than superstar that people were talking about him being. Because of the consistency issue, turnovers, reading coverages, obviously he'll make plays. He's a freak. But the consistency issue in winning football games is what keeps you in this league. Look at Brock Purdy. Compare Brock Purdy to Anthony Richardson. Everything looks like...
put Anthony Richardson. I mean, I disagree.
Trey Lance was a freak, and he wasn't a good fit with the 49ers.
Hasn't shown even in a preseason game 1/10 of what... I mean... Richardson's
completion percentage was 59%.
I understand, but
and they didn't win the games that he was making these plays in. He's not.
I mean, he got him back into that Rams game when they got off to a rough start, so he did show that he could come back from behind. I know it went to overtime or whatever, and the Rams won. I think he's going to be really good if he can stay healthy.
Do you think he's closer to superstar or closer to bust?
Superstar, 100%. If he was still healthy, the conversation would be, okay, should the Panthers have picked C.J. Stroud at 1 or Anthony Richardson? It would probably be Stroud because, like you said, I mean, he wins with accuracy, anticipation, the things
Stroud
that
looks like an NFL quarterback.
For sure, but I think Richardson was the freakiest dude on the field when he was playing, and he's playing quarterback, which is
But he didn't win any games.
special. But nobody thought the Colts were going to be good this year. They had the 5th pick.
They've won more games with Gardner Minshew.
Get money.
Yeah,
Gardner.
but that happens a lot with young quarterbacks. I mean, that's how it looked. I know Bryce Young looks like a bust, but the best game that they've had all season was when Dalton was playing against the Vikings.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you're just going to
it's a
get
fair
that a
point.
lot.
It's too early to call. The problem is that Bryce Young's still going to have the rest of the season to try to develop, and Richardson's going to be starting from scratch.
And Richardson is more risky because of the his running the ball and already the injuries that we saw.
I'm worried about him just constantly being hurt with the way he plays. I guess that's my bigger worry than anything.
Right.
Else.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many bodies genetically built to handle Josh Allen suicide runs, and not everybody.
You have to be almost not as cut up as Anthony Richardson. You have to have a little soft to you. Josh Allen, if you look at him,
saying Josh Allen's a little more
he's a little doughboy looking. He's got some fat on him. He's got a little wiggle room when it comes to falling weird. He's a little more rubbery. Right, Anthony Richardson is not.
So, and Anthony Richardson's off-season program is to eat more pizzas.
I think have a couple Twinkies, maybe.
And Josh Allen, the way he plays, it's sometimes he's begging for someone to hurt.
Right, but he always falls the right way. He absorbs these hits instead of you know what I mean? He's just, I don't know. When you watch Josh Allen fall, you don't ever think he's for sure injured because he just kind of falls the right way. Anthony Richardson slamming his head around, shoulder first, just doesn't look like he's ever.
He lands on his throwing shoulder.
You could probably throw Josh Allen off a building and he'd find a way to land and be okay. Richardson dead, broken neck, no way.
Like everyone else.
Yeah, like most people. Although I don't know, Carter used to fall pretty good.
Cleveland Browns at Seahawks -3. I like the Browns getting 3 here. I think that defense is scary. Might be best bettable.
But why did they give up 38 last week to the Colts? That's my only thing.
I don't get it.
I don't get it at all.
I mean, why did the Lions only score 6 points? Like, sometimes you just got to ask those questions.
NFL's weird, boys, but you got to know. You got to know when the weird shit's gonna happen and when it's not.
I agree, though, John. I like the Browns. I don't know who's going to block Myles Garrett for the Seahawks.
Are you putting that in your best bet, John, or no?
No, I was moving the betting odds on KC.
Did you put it on the Broncos just to piss me off?
No, I mean, yeah, but no, I messed it up. Stupid.
I like the Browns as well, but not enough to put in my best bet.
Yeah, they're I don't think I'm gonna end up doing it either because it just feels a little fishy. Feels a little weird. All right, moving on to KC at the Broncos, which I'm just making sure I have this line right now that I messed it up. Yeah, KC's -8. I mean, I feel like I gotta take KC here to win by more than a touchdown. Like, what has Sean Payton figured out since they played each other 2 weeks ago? I don't think much. I don't know.
Their first game was weird though, man. Like the spread was what, 10? I think it was 10.
And KC covered just barely.
Yeah, but it was barely, and it was like the whole game. Like Kansas City kept getting down there and not finishing drives.
The offense looks a little bit better now as of last week.
I know, yeah, that's why
I got to do this. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I don't know.
Oh God. Every time John makes a best bet, I think I would take the other side.
I know. Well, look at his record, Ferris. I mean, the hell.
I mean, that's not that bad. It's a little below.
It ain't good.
I think I would lock in the under here. Maybe that's just me. 46 seems a little high given Broncos haven't proven that they can score more than 21 points.
And the Chiefs have for some reason struggled to dominate the Broncos like they should.
Yeah, these games are always
it's always weird, right? Like
divisional matchups, you just got to be kind of cognizant of. But I think with Sean Payton being a new,
I would take the Chiefs. I would take the Chiefs to cover, but I'm not putting my best bets.
Ravens at Cardinals. Ravens are an 8-point favorite, which after how they played last week, that makes sense. Got another Angry Bird versus Angry Bird game, so that'll be fun. I'm not going to add them to my best bets, but I like the Ravens to cover here. I mean, I think if that offense can continue to do what they did last week, that this game should be a walk in the park for them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
I kind of think the Cardinals cover actually somehow.
I think the
Cardinals play tough, man. I don't know what it is. Like defensively, they've played all these teams tough. I'm not gonna put in my best bets, but I think the Cardinals cover 8.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that especially in the NFL, everything evens out. So when a team looks that good the week before, I think it's a good spot to try and fade them the next week.
Sure.
If you beat the Lions by 50.
Right.
You're probably due for some regression.
So. Cardinals are 3-3 against the spread, just so you guys know. Bears at Chargers. Chargers are almost 9-point favorites. I don't trust that for a second with the way the Chargers have been playing. Don't get me wrong, I think they'll beat the Bears, but winning by 9 points, Brandon Staley makes one boneheaded move and he could blow, 7 points super quickly.
Is Fields back or is he missing more time?
He's doubtful, I think.
Yeah, I think he's doubtful right now.
But are the Bears better without Fields in a way?
They know their limitations at least. There are times where teams that are bad play a backup quarterback, and because of not saying the backup quarterback is better than the starter, but the way you choose to approach the game gives your team a better chance of winning. Which is why I took the Titans as my best bet, by the way. It's the same philosophy. But the Chargers are just I feel like such a better team than they're showing. And sometimes you need a get back game. 8.5's a lot though. It's a lot of points. I would take the Chargers, but not my best bet. I can't do it.
I like the Bears to cover, frankly. All right, and then we got Raiders at the Lions -8. I'm not adding this one to my best bets, but I think the Lions are going to blow this team out.
I'm putting the Lions as my best bet. Monday Night Football primetime game. in Detroit.
Lions have been great in prime.
Lions have been great at home
and
as well. They're feeding off the energy that the city has. It's a get back game. It's a bounce back game. You just got your asses kicked the week prior. You're playing a inferior team. I hate McDaniels. For all those reasons. I will say this. I worry about Devontae Adams because he still kind of owns Detroit a little bit.
Yeah, and like literally their defensive scheme needs to be Sutton goes wherever Devontae goes.
They probably have to bracket him. They got to put 2 over him.
Yeah.
And make somebody else beat you. But this is a huge opportunity for the Lions for a get back game.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet a lot of money on the Lions.
There we go. Heard it there for Ferris first.
Carter Ferris.
The Hutch.
Hey, Ferris.
We got to exchange that for the merch, Ferris.
Yeah, there we go.
You need the pod merch.
Hutch.
I will say unbiasedly too, the new merch comfy as shit. Mark and I did not skimp on quality for any of this stuff. We ate some cost in order to make sure that we were getting some really nice stuff, and it is phenomenal. So
if you want like an oversized hoodie too, I would go one size higher to like I'm normally a large. I ordered a large. It fits me like how a hoodie should fit, but I probably would have gone a size up just so if you're out there and you like your stuff to fit a little bit bigger, you're worried about it shrinking at all, I go one size up.
I'm a baggy hoodie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Fall hoodie.
Yeah, 100%. Carter, you just went the whole friggin' hour and a half with us talking football. How are you feeling?
Feel good, man.
Carter's threatened several times that if we don't get him on the pod, he's going to start a rival pod.
Joe and I.
Yeah,
my God.
Gross, who's also a recurring guest.
Have Carter and Joe been on the same episode?
Oh, no, we don't know how that hasn't happened.
Yeah, it has
no.
Because here's what would happen. It could be all hell could break loose. Like there's certain things I'm going to prevent from happening, and that's
off season. We need to do that where we don't have like a schedule of games we need to cover.
We should create a team debate.
Yeah,
like me and Sven Gross against you and Carter. And we'll just have a debate off.
You can just bring up Herbert, and me and Joe can go on a 10-minute tangent about it.
Dude, we'll debate everything. We'll debate Richardson. Problem is it probably end up being me against all 3 of you.
Yeah,
and I'd still win.
Drew said, "Good luck getting Tyler Conklin on your pod, loser." To Carter for starting a competitive one.
Oh, was that to me? I didn't even.
Yeah.
Carter could probably get Herbert on the pod.
Good. Hey, then we wouldn't have a chance. That'd be the better pod right away. So, anyways, thank you guys for sticking around. We had a lot of fun stuff this episode. If you haven't checked out Mark's one-on-one interview with Tyler Conklin, go ahead and do that. It was a lot, like I said, a lot of good insight. Hard Knocks, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, like
beating the Broncos, beating the Eagles.
Yeah. So
really
super
really cool
episode.
Insight.
Yeah, 100%.
Aliens of the Week is out. Check that out if you haven't. We've done those.
You posted up before we started? I didn't even know that.
I'm posting it as we wrap this up, but as this goes out.
Got it. Right. We're speaking in Wednesday.
And we're time traveling. John's got to go back to Planet Zor. Can you put the alien mask back on as we wrap up? We got to end with a bang, just like we started with a bang. And then if you could make some alien noises, John.
I missed whatever you just said because of the fact that I had to go run over.
Well, I need you to put your mask on. And then I need you to make alien noises for the Halloween spirited people out there.
I don't know if I have that in me on command like that.
Okay. All right. Well, you literally sing and produce music and you can't make a noise.
An alien noise? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just so many different kinds of aliens.
You know what's funny is aliens probably talk just like us. Like we think that aliens make... But also, first of all, let's end this on a quick debate. Aliens are real? Yes?
Yes.
No. Fermi.
Damn it, John.
I'm the astrophysics guy. Like, I got all this shit.
Aliens are real, bro.
Aliens
why
can
haven't
mean
we
anything.
seen any yet?
Aliens are... What do you mean we have? You're wearing them. You are one.
Okay.
This guy's saying aliens are real as he wears an alien mask. Like, what kind of world are we living in?
They're just going to look like us?
You're telling me...
No, I don't think they look like us. They might.
No.
I don't think they're far off from us. I think they're probably smaller than us.
Well, we appreciate everybody watching, and we hope that you have an out-of-this-world Halloween. And we will see you guys next week to see how well our takes aged. So,
and go get merch.
We should have a special guest. And check out our merch, subscribe to our shit, join our Discord.
I can't
Thanks.
take John seriously.
Peace.
Mark, take the ACT.
Yeah, working on that.
Yeah, you got to take the ACT.